Thank you, Anna, for organizing, and thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to present our project. To introduce myself, I'm architect and urban planner, later specialized in urban resilience and sustainability. I'm a head of Green Project Department at SYNYO. This is research company in Vienna. And we're mostly dealing with Horizon projects, Cluster 5 and 6, and JPI. Also, I have more than a decade experience in teaching students in urban planning. And I'm proudly presenting a Circular City Challenge funded in the same scheme as yours. And we had two main tasks when we got this grant. One was to come up with innovative curricula for teaching sustainability and circularity. And second big task was to connect young people with local policymakers. So we started with research, right? And we did in-depth interviews, we did workshop with students and with stakeholders, and to come up with few conclusions. First, that circularity is all about local context, and it's all about place-based approach. There's no general way to teach circularity. Second one was it was interesting to have these interviews with different experts and policymakers and business owners and teachers and students, and asking and talking about circularity. And it was fascinating how we have different perspectives and understandings of that word. And the main gaps were as following. So first, there's obviously so many solutions how to be sustainable, how to be circular, but implementation is clumsy and lacking. And the second big gap we identified is that although we have teachers and principals and students very interested in topic of sustainability and circularity, there are many barriers to actually integrate this kind of teaching in today's schools. I missed to say, so we are a consortium of a few countries: Austria, Netherlands, Romania, and Spain. And these interviews were held in all of these countries of consortium with similar results. So on one side, we saw these challenges, and on the other side, we all the consortium members, including me, have very strong belief that actually continues on Ken Robinson's philosophy that we strongly question any education that is uniform, that is normative, that makes exams and evaluates students based on very rigid criteria. We see education as a form of personal growth, and we believe that that with adopting creative approach, students get the most. So those were all requirements, and we realized we need to have a teaching method that combines all these attitudes and requirements and gaps. Also, we realized that one of the main concerns of the teachers and principals were that they have learning outcomes that they need to meet. So we needed to adjust to the learning outcomes. So we found some common denominators of needed learning outcomes in various European countries. Also, many teachers stated they don't have time for additional education or training. They're busy anyhow, so we wanted to develop something that is easy for teachers and doesn't require additional training. And of course, we knew, based on the research, that it needs to be locally based topics. So what we did, we developed a circular city challenge method in 5 steps. And we guide the students to first step to understand what circular economy is, but in very short way and in principles. We're not pouring new information into me. What's the principle of circular economy? So the next step is we guide them to identify the circularity challenges in their own communities. We ask specific questions to make them aware of what's going on around them in their homes, in their schools, neighborhoods, towns, and guide them how to identify the circularity issues. And then this is the core of the project. It was important for us to understand what's their position in that story they identified as an issue in their towns. So we teach them how to identify the problem, for example, excessive waste in school lunches, right? For example. And we teach them, guide them, how to map all the stakeholders involved, right? So in this case, it would be either pupils, it would be teachers, principals, school cook, parents, social media, influencer, packaging, company, and so on. So we guide them to write that map and understand the connections between different stakeholders involved in that issue. And then the final step of that map would be to mark where is their domain of influence, to which stakeholders they have access and possibly impact, right? So we call this step understand your power. Then we encourage them to go to these stakeholders and interview them about the issues, right? So this is like real life engagement. They go to the principal, they ask, okay, why are you ordering this kind of food with so much waste, right? Then you go to the school cook or the company contracted with the school who's buying it. So they go to the stakeholders, they ask them questions. Why do they do what they're doing? Would they do it better if they can? Do they understand there might be an issue there? But what are the needs of the stakeholders are, and what are maybe the barriers to meet those needs? So like classic stakeholder analysis, but in a fun way, right? So they go out, they do the interviews, they understand the issues, so more in depth. Our intention was also to go from like the shallow kind of activism towards like really deep understanding of the issue in their community. Then we encourage them to envision some kind of better ways to do the processes, and to give some ideas how that can be, right? And then we say, okay, go back to the stakeholders map and say what each stakeholder can do that your idea comes to life, right? And with this step, it's fascinating actually to see that in the workshops, like students come up with the real life plans, what each stakeholder can do, what would be chronological way to do actions towards their idea. And we are piloting this method in our consortium states, and in duration of this project, we are also encouraging students to share their ideas via our platform, and there's going to be awards and award ceremony for the projects that students upload. What we're offering to teachers is curricula that is useful for all kind of teaching formats. So this could be used as a workshop, as for cross-subject collaboration, which is more and more needed in our schools, on science fairs, project weeks. So it's like very, very flexible format and doesn't require any special training for teachers. And so far in our piloting and testing, there are very good outcomes. And here is some of the most important outcomes. There are a few more. We did a table. We have traditional materials where you can see exactly how we're answering the learning outcomes required by the national educational bodies. But here are my favorites. So not just they're gaining new knowledge about circularity and sustainability and about their communities, it's also like this in-depth understanding of people who live around them, different perspectives, right? And how to meet this perspective and how to plan actions so they entail everyone involved. And we see creativity here as innovation with available resources. So what can be done better with the resources that are already existing in your community? How to redesign the wheel, right, of the system. One of the results of the project is our platform, which with a library for each step of the way. We assembled videos and articles and books for each step of the method. And there's brochures for facilitators and for students. Everybody can download it and actually follow our 6 steps in their settings. Yeah, so we're also going to be presenting this project on European Bauhaus. That's in April. So if you're going to be there, we can meet in person. And so we are in a phase of the project where we're piloting this method. And whoever is interested, please write me, and maybe you can join us for one of our promotional workshops. I can just say it's fun for the students. It's very insightful, broadens perspectives, students' perspectives, my perspectives. So far, so good. We're going to measure the impacts in the autumn this year, so I can update you later on that. And this is my perspective on Circular City Challenge.